Health Watch, a Milwaukee woman's death is drawing attention to the controversy surrounding what's called ambulance diversions. Tiffany Tate worked at the Medical College of Wisconsin when she suffered a stroke. She worked just 350 yards from the area's best hospital for strokes, but the ambulance did not take her there.
Tiffany was sent to another hospital with limited stroke care where she eventually died. An investigation by the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel looks into ambulance diversions and why it's happening in many of the country's largest cities. John Diedrich is the investigative reporter for the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel and helped to write this article. John, thank you so much. This was really illuminating. I think a lot of people have heard of diversions. We know that sometimes when hospitals get overwhelmed, they may temporarily shut down their emergency rooms to new patients, but not to the degree that your article spells out. So explain to us exactly what an ambulance diversion is and why a hospital would implement this policy.
Well, it starts off with a hospital being overcrowded, overrun with individuals. The problem is that this is not just a problem that happens in the ED, but it's the result of inefficiencies and crowding throughout a system. And it's really the result of hospitals being inefficient operations that haven't modernized. And in the places where we know this, because in the places where diversions have been eliminated, it hasn't been done through adding beds or making EDs bigger. It's through a sort of a holistic, if you will, approach to making hospitals more efficient. And this is, as you noted, is happening across the country. And Tiffany Tate's example just shows the significance and importance of getting this right.
You know, John, I think a lot of people who read your piece and are watching this segment are going to be absolutely heartbroken and also shocked about Tiffany's case because, as we pointed out, she worked less than half a mile from one of the top stroke treatment centers. If she had gone to that hospital in any other way other than an ambulance, would she have been diverted?
No, and that's a great point. Under federal law, people who drive up or walk up to an ED are required by federal law to be treated there. So if she had been put in a wheelchair and rolled over there or brought by a friend or whatnot, they would have had to care for her. And just to keep in mind, this is a comprehensive stroke center, Freighter it is. They're able to do the kind of level of stroke care that's only available at the highest level, not only in this area but across the country. And that's really what we need, what she needed. We can tell that from 7,000 pages of medical records we've gone through that she was suffering from large vascular occultation, and the treatment they could provide at Freighter was just what we needed. To be clear, we don't know for sure whether she would have survived. Experts were clear on that, but everybody agreed that she would have had a much better chance.
So one thing that your article points out is that the diversion policy can last for hours now, almost most of the day for some hospitals. I was under the impression that this might happen for a couple hours out of the day when they were really swamped. But you're talking about hospitals that are like that for 17 hours. And in some cases, half of the hospitals in Milwaukee were diverting ambulances. Just how do hospital officials justify this just on an ethical level? I mean, their whole job is to help the sick and in need.
Well, this is a practice that goes back decades, and it's been shown in studies not only to endanger patients but not work. But it was supposed to be a drastic measure that came in years ago, as I said. And the problem is it's become routine in a lot of communities where one hospital will go on diversion. As you said, Freighter was on diversion for 17 hours that day. And in response, other hospitals will go on diversion, and pretty soon you have a good chunk of your city on diversion, and then they have to force everybody open. That happens sometimes, or ambulance drivers are frustrated and having to drive around looking for a place to bring patients. So it's not a good situation. It's continued on. Some places, as I said, have gotten rid of it, and other places continue to struggle with this issue. It's a big problem. 2/3 of the largest cities in the country, it's allowed there. In some places, it's an acute, problematic situation.
John, we've only got about 30 seconds, but are there any efforts underway to change this policy?
Well, it's being looked at, and it was interesting. I talked to some experts who had studied it, and they were surprised that it continues to be a problem. So I think this research is pulling up. This investigation is pulling up a problem that continues to be. It's looked at in places, and in Milwaukee, it ended here voluntarily, so there's no law, but it ended here. And other places have looked to end it. There is no federal oversight of this issue, though. There's no a place in the federal government where this is watched or tracked. So that oversight is yet to come.
Well, I think, the case that you highlighted is probably as egregious as it gets.
Yeah.
And hopefully in her passing, this will shine a light on this issue and something will occur for the better.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's an important issue.
Yeah.
Thanks, John, for reporting that. We appreciate it. Thanks for sharing it with us.